$1 trillion. Say it out loud. $1 trillion. It sounds like a made-up number. It sounds like something a 6-year-old says when asked how much their imaginary castle costs. $1 trillion. It does not sound real because your brain was not built to process it. Your brain was built to count mammoth kills and remember where the berries are. 1 trillion is not in the original software. The brain simply looks at 1 trillion and says that is a lot and moves on because there is no other option. So let us make it real. If you stacked $1 trillion bills on top of each other, the pile would be 67,866 miles high. That is roughly a third of the way to the moon. Not the moon and back, a third of the way there. One direction. $1 trillion bills, a third of the way to the moon. If you spent $1 million every single day, starting from the day you were born, you would run out of money in the year 4,700. You would need to have been born before the Roman Empire, spent every single day of your life spending $1 million, and you still would not be done by now.
If you tried to count to 1 trillion out loud at one number per second, it would take you 31,688 years. Agriculture was invented 12,000 years ago. You would still have 19,000 years of counting left. $1 trillion is not a number. It is a concept, and for the first time in human history, one person appears to have crossed that line. His name is Elon Musk. You have heard of him. Everyone has heard of him. Your grandmother has heard of him. Your grandmother's grandmother would have heard of him if she had access to the internet, which she did not, but the point stands. As of 2026, according to Bloomberg and Forbes, Elon Musk's estimated net worth has crossed $1 trillion. That makes him not just the richest person on Earth. It makes him 4 times richer than the second richest person on Earth. 4 times. If the second richest person on Earth looked up at Musk's wealth from their own wealth, it would be like standing at the bottom of a building and looking up at another building 4 times taller. You were not even in the same conversation. You were not even in the same sentence.
But how did this happen? Because in October 2025, his net worth was approximately $500 billion, which is already an incomprehensible number, but bear with us. By February 2026, it had jumped to $800 billion. By mid-2026, it crossed $1 trillion. In 8 months, his wealth increased by $500 billion. $500 billion in 8 months. There are countries whose entire economy is smaller than the amount his wealth grew in 8 months. He did not earn this in the traditional sense. He did not go to work every morning and put in extra hours. He woke up and the assets he owned became worth more. Every morning he woke up and somewhere on a spreadsheet a number got bigger. He did not carry the number home. The number just got bigger. The turning point was SpaceX. SpaceX merged with xAI in an all-stock deal. The combined valuation of this new entity came in at $1.25 trillion. $1.25 trillion for a company that has been around since 2002 and whose main product is a rocket that lands on a floating platform in the middle of the ocean, which sounds like science fiction, but is in fact just Tuesday at SpaceX.
Then SpaceX went public. The IPO launched at $135 per share. In one single day, $75 billion worth of shares were sold. For context, Saudi Aramco is one of the largest companies in the history of the planet. It is an oil company sitting on top of one of the biggest oil reserves ever discovered. When Aramco went public in 2019, it raised $29 billion and broke every record that had ever existed for an IPO. SpaceX raised $75 billion in one day. More than double in one day. The shares were not even finished trading, and SpaceX had already lapped Aramco twice. By the end of trading, SpaceX's total valuation had surged past $2 trillion. Musk owns approximately 42% of SpaceX. You can do the math, or you can simply accept that the number is very large and move on. The number is very large. Add to that his Tesla equity at approximately $168 billion, his stock options worth approximately $166 billion, his stakes in X, formerly Twitter, and Starlink. Add it all together and you cross $1 trillion.
One person, $1 trillion. Now here's the part that will genuinely break your brain. If Elon Musk were a country, he would be the 13th largest economy on Earth. His personal net worth is larger than the entire GDP of Poland, Sweden, Belgium, Argentina. He is richer than 125 countries. Not richer than the people of those countries combined, richer than the entire economic output of those countries. Everything those countries produce, sell, build, and export in an entire year adds up to less than what one man is worth. 125 countries. There are only 195 countries on Earth. He is richer than more than half of them. If the world held a wealth competition where every country entered and Elon Musk entered as himself, he would finish 13th, ahead of Poland, ahead of Sweden, ahead of every nation in Africa. He would lose to the United States, China, Germany, Japan, India, the United Kingdom, France, Italy, Canada, South Korea, Russia, and Australia. Everyone else he beats, comfortably. But here is the thing that most people do not understand about this kind of wealth. Musk himself has said that less than 0.1% of his wealth is in cash. Less than 0.1%. The rest is in assets, stocks, company valuations, numbers on spreadsheets that represent ownership of things. He cannot spend $1 trillion because he does not have $1 trillion sitting in an account somewhere. He has 42% of a rocket company and some Tesla shares and some other things that together are worth approximately $1 trillion on paper. So how does he actually access money when he needs it? He does not sell. Selling triggers taxes. Instead, he uses his assets as collateral to take loans from banks. He borrows billions of dollars using his SpaceX shares as security. He accesses the money without selling the asset. He pays the loan back with more loans. He never cashes out. He never pays the full tax bill. The asset keeps growing, the loan stays manageable. This is how the ultra-wealthy actually operate, and it is a completely legal financial strategy that is also completely incomprehensible to anyone who has ever had to check their bank balance before buying groceries. Now, let us talk about why SpaceX is worth $2 trillion. Before SpaceX, rockets were single-use. You built a rocket, you launched the rocket fell into the ocean. You built another rocket. This was expensive. Obviously, this was expensive. Imagine if every time you drove to work, you had to buy a new car and throw the old one in a lake. That is what the space industry was doing before Elon Musk decided it was a deeply inefficient system. SpaceX invented reusable rockets. The Falcon 9 launches into space, delivers its payload, and the booster comes back down and lands on a drone ship in the ocean, upright, like it is parking, like this is a normal thing that happens. It has done this hundreds of times. The cost of reaching orbit dropped by approximately 80%. Now they are building Starship. Starship is fully reusable, both stages, and is designed to carry humans and cargo to the moon, Mars, and potentially beyond. Investors are not buying a rocket company. They are buying the belief that in 20 years, this company will be the infrastructure of human civilization in space. That belief is worth $2 trillion. Whether the belief is correct is a different question. The belief exists, and it is currently valued at $2 trillion. But this is where things get interesting. Musk does not just own a rocket company. He owns X, formerly Twitter, which is a global social media platform. He owns Starlink, which has over 6,000 satellites in low Earth orbit and provides internet to over 100 countries. He owns xAI, which is building artificial intelligence systems to compete with OpenAI and Google. He has significant influence with the United States government. He has defense contracts. Social media, global internet infrastructure, artificial intelligence, aerospace, government. 5 of the most critical sectors of modern civilization. One person. This is not a businessman anymore. This is a one-person economy with geopolitical reach. There is a concept called techno-feudalism. In medieval times, feudal lords controlled land. Peasants worked the land. The lord extracted value. The peasant survived. Today, the argument is that technology platforms work the same way. The platforms control the digital land. Users provide the content, the data, the engagement. The platform extracts the value. The user gets a free app. In the United States, the top 1% owns approximately 34% of total wealth. Globally, wealth concentration is growing faster. Organizations like Oxfam have argued that this level of concentration is not just an economic issue, it is a democratic issue. When one person controls enough money and enough infrastructure, they can influence elections, shape public opinion, determine which information spreads and which does not, and operate largely outside the accountability structures that govern everyone else.
There is a Hollywood movie called Don't Look Up. A comet is heading toward Earth. Scientists warn the world, but a powerful tech billionaire convinces people to ignore the threat because he wants to mine the comet for minerals. Governments hesitate because of his influence. The comet hits. The movie was made in 2021. It was about billionaires. It is now 2026. We are talking about a trillionaire. The comet is significantly larger now. Is Elon Musk a visionary pushing humanity toward the stars? Or is he a structural risk to the democratic systems that took 200 years to build? The honest answer is that he might be both simultaneously, which is the most unsettling possible answer and also probably the correct one. One thing is certain. $1 trillion is a number your brain was not built to understand. The Roman Empire lasted 1,000 years, and its entire economy was probably worth less. The pyramids of Egypt were built with what would today be a rounding error on a SpaceX quarterly report. The wealth of every king and emperor and pharaoh and conqueror who ever lived does not add up to what is sitting on one person's balance sheet in 2026. We are in uncharted territory. The map ends here, and somewhere a rocket is landing on a floating platform in the middle of the ocean like it is completely normal. If you just watch the entire history of money compressed into one video and you are still here, Mr. Paint wants you to hit subscribe, because next time we are finding out what ancient humans would have done if one of them became a trillionaire. Spoiler, they gave him a slightly better rock near the fire. He used it as collateral to take a loan. He bought 3 more rocks. Subscribe before the algorithm decides your net worth.